but you have to make a decision to be better.
Oh,
So make a decision to better yourself today. You're listening.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
how can you hire that company? How can you evaluate the KPIs, the key performance indicator of that company? How can you evaluate the results of this company if you don't have a basic knowledge? So yeah, the marketing company, any company will tell you, okay, this is we are very good and we can solve your problem. But at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, you know your number, and sometimes because you don't learn and you don't change. Sometimes you don't even know that it's possible. Look at you. Were you ever thought that was possible for you to double in a month
Right.
after lots of years of struggle and survival and people and this is possible if you have the right coach and you have a mentor. So something that you're very good at, Jonathan, that I can tell you're very good now bringing the right people to your organization.
Right.
It's not that you hire a coach. This coach that you hire is very good because people we can talk about coaching, but the thing with coaching is that if people sometimes make the wrong they hire the wrong coach. They hire a coach that hasn't achieved the result they want to achieve, and therefore now they have a bad experience, and now they say, oh, coaching, it doesn't work. And this is not true. If all the people that have been in this podcast, they all have several coaches. You even listening this broadcast you shared with me before we start to record it, that listening this broadcast, we talk a lot about the power of coaching, the power of mentoring. So,
Right.
what is the
And
secret, Jonathan, to hire the right coach? What is the secret to hire the right marketing agency? How you did it?
right. Well, hiring the right marketing agency, I had been doing marketing pretty extensively since I'd started. So I was familiar with the terminology and the changing and what was going on. And so I could have a conversation with them about what I believe we needed. I checked their references. I looked at their other websites. I called some of their other clients to see how responsive they were. And I did my homework. And I agreed to pay an amount of money that I probably thought I could not afford at the time to get where I wanted to go. And then I hired a lawyer coach, Richard James, your practice master. He was out of Phoenix, Arizona at the time, in May of 2020, in the middle of COVID, because I knew I had all this work. My business, of course, got cut way down when COVID happened. All my employees quit in June of 2020. It is what it is. I had 3 employees; they all quit. COVID related type stuff. I had to start over, but I had this coach, and he was teaching me these things about the perfect client life cycle. He was teaching about marketing. He was teaching about customer service, and so I just kept listening. He had conferences 4 times a year. I tried to go to the conferences in person. I met other people that were like minded. But in trying to find the coach, I interviewed several coaches, and I found a coach that was speaking to people in my financial niche, right? Some coaches, I talked to one coach and I was already too big. His thing was 0 to a $500,000, outsource everything solos. I was bigger than that. I talked to another coach who really only wanted to talk to people that were 5 million or more. Well, I wasn't even at a million yet. So I was like, that's not going to work. So I found a coach whose niche was 750 to 2.5 million in gross revenue.
Wow,
You know what
very
I mean?
good, very
Right.
good.
And so that is because at that point
That's why
it
people
gets
also have bad experience with coaches. They just hire the wrong person. You
right.
clearly identify this coach is not for me. This is not in backyard.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, when you get towards 750, and I don't care what you're doing, it's beyond you to do all the work. And at that point, you have to start bringing in key team members that do the work, that you can create processes so the work can be done even though you're not doing it, and you can hire the right people, train the right people, and that's how you scale. And so that's what his focus was, still is today. He now is out of Charlotte, North Carolina, but he still does 4 conferences a year and weekly office hours. And he started sending me books to read. And I had not been reading books, Harry, since I'd gotten out of law school. And, I'm like most people, I wanted to watch football. But he started mailing me books. And I'm like, well, I'm paying this guy. And he says, I should read this book. And
at least that you read the books, right?
Right. And the first book he sent me was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I was like,
wow,
I started
great book.
to read it. I started to read it, Harry, and I stopped because I didn't get it. It wasn't speaking to me because I wasn't ready, right? 7, 8, 9 months later, as we come out of COVID, I've been in his program. I've watched more videos. I've made some friends. I go back and I start to read Think and Grow Rich again, and I read it in like 2 weeks. Like I just devour it. And I'm like, this is it. But the first time, I didn't get it, right? Like I didn't get it. And the whole point of the book is anything that you can imagine, anything you can think about, you can bring about. And
100%.
What you think about, you will bring about. And the power of the mastermind. So Napoleon Hill wrote this book. It's still out there. It is a phenomenal book. And basically he interviewed all the great leaders of the time between 1910 and 1930. So it's Henry Ford, it's Rockefeller, it's J.P. Morgan, it's one of Einstein's assistants, but not Einstein himself, if I'm not mistaken. I think I'm right about that. I could be wrong. But anyway, it's those types of people and what made them successful. And, like Henry Ford had a 8th grade education at best. Some people said he was functionally illiterate, but yet he built one of the greatest car companies in the history of the world because he believed that you could build a cylinder engine. He didn't know how. He wasn't an engineer. They failed 100 times at least
absolutely.
Before the engineers who worked for Henry Ford, who was not very educated, built the engine that he imagined could be built because he believed it could happen.
Absolutely.
And so that's the thing. And so I had to start to change my mindset if I was going to be successful. I was anxious. I had lots of anxiety. I had this scarcity mindset that we all sort of have. There's not enough. I got to keep all the acorns. Somebody can't do work under my name because if they mess up.
Exactly. Tell me about it.
All of that kind of stuff. And so I had to
let it go of this.
I had to make a mental shift to be able to do this because the mental person of Jonathan Breeden in 2000 and 2021 could not have 23 employees and all the business we have now because I wasn't a good leader and I was too focused on myself and scarcity and not believing there was enough and not knowing what I was doing as far as this. But now I know there's enough for everybody, Harry. Anything you want in this world, you can go get. But you have to make a decision to be better. And by making a decision to stay where you are in a job you hate that's going nowhere, that's a decision too. No decision is a decision as well. So make a decision to better yourself today. You're listening to Harry and Jonathan Breeden say, what can I do today to be better tomorrow?
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.